Someone said to me that Daniel 8 verse 14 is referring to the earthly sanctuary and not the heavenly sanctuary. And as usual, let's find out if that's the case. Daniel 8 verse 13 and 14 says, "Then I heard one saint speaking, How long shall the vision be concerning the daily sacrifice, and the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? And he said unto me, Unto 2,300 days, and then the sanctuary shall be cleansed." The sanctuary is to be restored or cleansed at the end of the 2,300 days. Now, as per my previous videos, if the starting date for this prophecy is to be believed at 457 BC, then 2,300 years from that would take you to 1844, and don't forget to take out year zero. If that's the case, we need to ask ourselves the question, was there an earthly sanctuary in 1844? No, because that was destroyed in 70 AD. What needed to be restored or cleansed? The answer is actually found in the book of Hebrews, and for that we go to Hebrews 8 verse 1 and 2. And it says, "We have such a high priest who is set on the right hand of the throne of the majesty in heavens, a minister of the sanctuary and of the true tabernacle, which the Lord pitched and not man." Hebrews 9 verse 23 and 24 tell us the following. "It is therefore necessary that the patterns of the things in the heavens be purified with these, but the heavenly things themselves with better sacrifices than these. For Christ is not entered into holy places," let's read this together, "made with hands, but into where? Heaven itself." This shows that there is a heavenly sanctuary that needed cleansing, not from literal dirt, but rather from the record of sin and spiritual distortion. Now, there's no way Daniel could actually have been thinking about an earthly sanctuary, because at that stage it didn't exist. The vision of Daniel 8 was given in about 548, 547 BC during the Babylonian exile. The earthly temple had already been destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar in 586 BC. So there was no physical sanctuary that was functioning at that time. Also, when we look at the nature of the little horn's attacks, Daniel 8 verse 11 says, "He cast down the place of his sanctuary." Verse 11 also says, "takes away the daily." Verse 12 says, "prospers in deception and causes the truth to be cast down." Folks, these are all spiritual attacks. This is rather an attack on Christ's heavenly intercession, the gospel and the truth. And folks like John Wesley, some of the Puritans, even Isaac Newton, all believed the same fact. Even when we look at the Hebrew word for sanctuary, it does not mean an earthly sanctuary. That word is used to indicate either one, whether heavenly or earthly. So we cannot say it just means earthly. Even if we assume that the 2,300 evenings and mornings are 2,300 literal 24-hour periods, or 2,300 literal days, which is around about 6 years, the historical and biblical context makes this literal interpretation impossible. Why? As I said earlier, number one, the sanctuary was still in ruins. So number two, there was no functioning sanctuary that needed cleansing. And number three, even if you start counting 6 years from the time Daniel receives his vision, there was still no sanctuary. However, when we apply the day for a year principle, everything seems to fit. And again, Numbers 14:34 and Ezekiel 4 verse 6 gives us that indication when we're talking about prophetic time. A day equals a year. And so if we work on a literal interpretation of 2,300 days after Daniel receives the vision, it actually brings us to nothing. No temple, no cleansing, no significant fulfillment. Folks, if you throw out a symbolic time, if you throw out prophetic time, what are you going to be left with? A prophecy that fails, unless you allow for a prophetic time which history and the Bible support.